Hello friends, how are you? After discussing the 6 methods of separation of components of mixture, I am starting 7th one, which is crystallization method. Which is crystallization method. The first question which comes in our mind, that is, what is crystallization? What is crystallization? If we simply use a definition, then we can say that crystallization is a process. Crystallization is a process that separate a pure solid. That separate a pure solid in the form of its crystal from a solution. That means here in this process, the pure solid is separate in the form of its crystal from its solution. Okay. This method is used to purify the solids. This method is used to purify the solids. Okay. Now, how this method works? So, to understand it, let me take example of the salt. The salt which is obtained from the sea. Salt, that means sodium chloride, which obtained from the sea, is impure. It has various impurities like the sand impurities, other than sand, that is a calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, etc, etc. To obtain it in the pure form, we use crystallization method. In this method, firstly, the impure solid dissolve in the minimum amount of water. In the minimum amount of water. Got it? And now it filtered so that the impurities, unsoluble impurities, can easily separate. Okay. Now, after it, by the evaporation, the water is removed. By the evaporation, the water is removed, and a saturated solution is obtained. A saturated solution is obtained. Now, leave this solution to cool down slowly. To leave the solution to cool down slowly, and it leave undisturbed. As you know that when the temperature decreases, the solubility of salt is also decreases. Hence, here that was high temperature, so more solid is dissolved, but when it cool down, the solubility decreases, so the the extra salt gets separate in the form of pure solid crystal form, like this. So in cooling, the pure solid gets separate in the crystal form, while the impurities remain in the solution. While the impurities remain in the solution. Got it? So in this way, the impurities is removed and pure crystal is obtained. Now, let me discuss its applications. It is used in the purification of the salt obtained from the sea, as we discussed earlier. Okay. Second, it is used in the separation of alum, that is fitkari. We generally called it fitkari, from the impure sample. From the impure sample. This method is used. Okay. This method is used to obtain the pure fitkari or alum from its impure sample. Now, let me discuss that how the water purification system works in our cities, or we can say water purification system in waterworks, which is government department, how they purify the water. Here there are different chambers or tanks where the different functions are performed. First one is sedimentation tank, where the solid impurities get settled down. Okay. Second one is loading tank, where the suspended impurities, fine dust particles, like they settle down or separated. Clear? Third one is filtration tank. Third one is filtration tank, where the water is filtered out. And fourth is chlorination tank, where the chlorine gas passed which kill the bacteria. So these are the tanks or chambers. Now, firstly, the water from receiver, that means from where we obtain the water. It can either be river or can be lake or well or tube wells. It transfer receive and transfer into the sedimentation tank. Here it allow to it allow undisturbed for some time, so that the solid impurities which can easily settle down. Okay, now after that it transfer into the loading tank, where the suspended impurities separated. Okay, now after that it transfer into the filtration tank. This tank has various levels. Its bottom made up by the coarse gravel, that means stone particles, and upper portion with gravel, fine stone, and the uppermost, that is sand. When the water stored here, it percolate, that means flowed downside and pass from these layers. In during this passing, it filter out. They work like a filter paper to remove the impurities. So when it pass through it, the impurities get separated and we obtain pure water. Now this pure water transfer into the chlorination tank. It transfer into the chlorination tank, where the chlorine gas passed through this water. Chlorine gas has antibacterial capacity. That means it can kill bacteria and various other microorganisms. So when the chlorine gas passed through the bacteria's killed and we obtain the pure water. This pure water now supplied to our homes. So this is the purification system which placed in waterworks in our cities. Okay. Now let me move to the next topic, which is physical and chemical changes. What is physical and what is chemical change? Before it, there is a sentence which is very common in science. It is, change is the law of nature. Change is the law of nature. That means in nature there are changes. There are various changes. The thing which is present at this time was not in past and maybe will not in future. Like dinosaurs, no, they are at present time they are absent. In future, maybe the human or any other living organism may be changed. Okay, the changes grouped into two categories. First is called physical change and second is called chemical change. As their name indicating, if the physical properties are changed, then it is called physical changes, while if the chemical properties are changed, then it is called chemical changes. Okay, now we are starting the first one, which is physical changes. If we consider its definition, then we can say that those changes in which the physical properties of substance are changed. Those changes in which the physical properties of substances are changed, but chemical properties remain same. But the chemical property, that means chemical composition, remains same. Chemical composition remain same. Only the physical properties are changed. Here the example, so you can understand the definition. Ice, which is solid form of water, water which is liquid form, and vapor which is gas form of water. That is solid, that is liquid, and that is gas. If we lower the temperature, that means cooling, we convert water into the ice, or with heating, that is increase in the temperature, we convert it into vapor form. Here in cooling or in heating, the state of matter is changed. That means it convert into the liquid to solid or solid to liquid, liquid to gas, gas to liquid. But the chemical composition remains same. In the form of ice, that is also H2O. In the form of liquid water, that is also H2O. In the form of gas, that is vapor, that is also H2O. So there is no change in chemical composition. It remains same. Got it? Clear? Now, these changes are reversible and temporary. These changes are reversible and temporary because when the factor which caused change is removed, the substance regain original state. The substance regain its original state. Got it? Suppose by lowering the temperature we convert into water into the ice. What we did? Lowering the temperature. If I remove this factor, that means if I heated the ice and again allow to come in the room temperature, then it again convert into the liquid form, that is water. Similarly, by heating we convert water into the vapor form, okay, gas form. Now if we remove this factor, that is heating opposite, that is cooling, then it again come into the liquid form. So when we remove the factor, the substance regain its original state. Got it? In physical changes, the substance does not lose their identities. It means they chemically remain same. Here, that is H2O, that is H2O, and that is also H2O. It does not lose its identity. Chemical composition H2O, here H2O, and here is also H2O. So there is no change, that they chemically are same. Okay, and if they are chemically same, that means they does not lose their identity. Got it? Clear? Now let me discuss its examples. Melting, freezing, evaporation, boiling, dissolution, mixing, etc. are example of physical changes. Okay, now let me move the chemical changes. Those changes in which the chemical properties of substance are changed and new substance or substances are formed, called chemical changes. Here the chemical properties are changed, and due to change in chemical properties, new substance or substances are formed. Okay, to understand the definition, let me consider the example of burning of coal. In coal, the carbon react with the oxygen and make carbon dioxide gas. Here, the chemical composition is totally changed. Here, the carbon and oxygen both are individual, but here they combine and make carbon dioxide. So the chemical properties is changed. Okay, chemical properties is changed. These changes are irreversible and permanent. These changes are irreversible and permanent. They cannot be reversed by any physical process. After burning the carbon, that is coal, and converting into the carbon dioxide, we cannot convert carbon dioxide again into carbon and oxygen by any physical method. By heating, by cooling, there is no way to convert carbon dioxide again into carbon and oxygen by any physical process. Okay, that's why these are irreversible and the compound is permanent. So these are irreversible and permanent compound. In these changes, the substance lose identity and new substance or substances are formed. Okay, here the substance loses their identities. The substance loses their identities. How can we identify? The properties is, if the properties are changed, like carbon can burn, but carbon dioxide can burn? No. Oxygen gas helps in burning, but as you know, carbon dioxide gas is used in fire extinguisher. So the properties is totally changed now. Got it? Understand? So the substance loses their identities. Here the carbon and oxygen both loses their identities. A new substance is formed. The properties of the new substance is totally different from those substances by which it is formed. To understand more about it, let me consider one more example, that is water. Water is made up by the hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen gas itself a burning material, that means it burns, while oxygen gas helps in burning. But the compound which is formed by hydrogen oxygen, that is water, do not burn and do not help in the burning. As you know that we use water as a fire extinguisher. Okay, so I think this point is clear. The change in these changes, the substance loses their identity and new substance are formed. Burning of paper, rusting of iron, digestion of food, spoiling of food, turning milk into curd, etc. are chemical changes. Clear? Now, if we compare both of these, then we can say that physical changes, change in physical properties, in chemical change in chemical properties. Here, no new substance is formed. Here, new substance or substances are formed. These are temporary, these are permanent. These are reversible, these are irreversible. Understand? Here the substance does not lose identity, here the substance loses their identities. Okay. Now after that, let me start the next topic, which is pure substance or pure matter. What is pure substance or pure matter? Any substance or matter which made up by only one type of particles, made up by only one type of particles is called pure substance. Or we can also say that any substance which consists single type of particles, single type of particle, that means it have only one type of particles, we called pure substance. If I am saying pure water, if I am using pure water word, it means in that sample all the particles are only H2O. Got it? If I am saying pure NaCl, it means all the particles are NaCl, none of the other particle is present. If I am saying pure ghee butter, it means all the particles are fat, nothing else is present in that. Got it? Now pure matter is two types, one is element and another is compound. Now what is element and what is compound? Let me start with first about the element. If we discuss its history, then the term element was given by Robert Boyle. The term given was Robert Boyle in 1661. And its definition, first acceptable chemical definition, was given by Anthony Laurent Lavoisier. Simply we called Lavoisier. Okay. Now its chemical definition. Its definition. There are two definitions we can use. First, which was given by Lavoisier, according to which elements is the basic form of matter. Elements is the basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into some simpler substances by any chemical reaction. We cannot break the element into more simple form. Got it? Second definition, which is based on its composition, it is element are the basic form of matter which made up by only one type of atoms. Elements are the basic form of matter which made up by only one type of atoms, like H2, O2, N2. Here two atoms which are hydrogen, here two atoms which are oxygen, here two atoms which are nitrogen. Clear? On the basis of the properties, elements are further divided into three categories. First is metal, second is non-metal, and third is semi-metal or metalloids. First one is metal, second is semi-metal, third one is metalloids. Let me start about it. First, metal. What is metal? There are various definitions, and in starting, because for the higher definitions you have to know more about the chemical properties of substances, but as per our basic knowledge we can use the simple definition according to which those elements which have metallic properties, those elements which have metallic properties are called metals, are called metals. Now the questions comes in our mind, what is metallic properties? Here one by one we will discussing about it. Okay, these are called metallic properties. The first one is they have metallic they are solids, they are solids, but there is exception which is mercury. It is liquid at room temperature. Have you ever seen mercury in the thermometer? The liquid which is going up and down, that is mercury. That is the only liquid, others are solids. Second, they have metallic luster or shine. They have metallic luster or shine. For example, gold, there is a shine. Iron, the fresh cutted surface of iron, it do not have rust. Okay, the fresh cutted surface of iron has a shine. Similarly, the copper, there is also have a shiny appearance. Aluminium, zinc, all of the metals have shine. Okay. Third, they are good conductor of heat and electricity. The metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. That's why we use them to make the cooking utensils and making the electric wire through which electricity passed. Exception, mercury. Here again, exception, which is mercury. It is bad conductor of heat and electricity. Okay. Next point is they have high melting and boiling points. The metals have high melting and boiling points. For example, the tungsten, which has melting point is more than 3300 degrees Celsius, that is 3384 degrees Celsius. So they have high melting and boiling point, but there is two metal which are exception, which is cesium and gallium. Cesium and gallium, both these metals have very low boiling point, very low melting and boiling points. Even if you put the cesium and gallium in your palm, they melt, they melt. Got it? So they have very low melting and boiling points. Next property is they are ductile. They are ductile, that means they can easily drawn into wires. They can easily drawn into wires. Got it? Next, they are malleable. They are malleable, that means with the help when we hammered them, they convert into the sheets. For example, iron sheet, iron sheet. Okay. Similarly, copper sheet and various other metal sheets, we know, we familiar about them. Next one, they are sonorous. They are sonorous, that means when they heated, they make a ringing sound. When they heated, they make ringing sound. This property is called sonorous. Okay. Next one is, which was not mentioned here, so I mentioned with the pencil. They are hard. They are hard. Most of metals are hard. For example, iron, copper, aluminium, all of these are hard substances, but there are two exceptions. First one is sodium and second one is lithium. These two metals are soft. Even we can cut with the help of knife the sodium and lithium metals, like we cut the paneer. Okay. Silver, gold, iron, copper, zinc, sodium, potassium, etc., etc. comes in the category of metals. About the non-metals and semi-metals we will discuss in next class. Hope you like it. Thank you.